Welcome to the revolution.
She didn't want a pelvic exam, but got one anyways while under anesthesia. In many states, consent is not required. Now, my wife brought this up to me. She said, this is disgusting. This is ridiculous. It basically is a legal option of medical rape, like that doctors apparently do all the time. Like it's sickening. It's disgusting. It's sickening. And it's no surprise to me with the way that, we see birth in hospitals being done and things being forced on women and that they didn't consent to just because they're in that situation. So it says that Janine, a nurse in Arizona, checked into the hospital for stomach surgery in 2017. Before the procedure, she told her physician that she did not want any medical students to be directly involved. After the operation, Janine said, as the anesthesia wore off, a resident came by to inform her that she had gotten her period. The resident had noticed while conducting a pelvic exam. She then responded by saying, "What pelvic exam?" Distressed, she tried to piece together what had happened while she was unconscious. Why had her sexual organs been inspected during an abdominal operation by a medical student? Later, she said her physician explained that the operating team had seen that the operating team had seen she was due for a pap smear. Janine burst into tears and said, "I started having panic attacks trying to figure out what had happened." She recalled in an interview, "I have a history of sexual abuse and it brought up bad memories." She felt especially unnerved as a medical professional. Patients put such trust in the medical profession, especially on sensitive topics, such as going under anesthesia. So basically what happened is this lady went in for a surgery, a random abdominal surgery. She specifically said she didn't want any medical students a part of this surgery. And the surgery had specifically nothing to do with her reproductive system. And they brought these students in to perform a pelvic exam for experience, not for any medical necessity, for experience, without the patient's consent. It says that pelvic exams necessitate physical inspection of the most sensitive areas of a woman's body. The exams are typically conducted while the patient is awake and consenting at a gynecologist visit to screen for certain cancers, infections, and other reproductive health issues. But across many states and many medical institutions, physicians are not required to obtain explicit consent for the procedure. Sometimes the exams are conducted by doctors or doctors in training while women are under anesthesia for gynecology or gynecological and other operations. Often the exams are deemed medically necessary, but in some cases they are done solely for the educational benefit of medical trainees. At some hospitals, physicians discuss the procedure with patients beforehand or detail its specifics, but at others, the women are left completely unaware that their bodies were going to be violated by a medical doctor for educational purposes without consent. That's horrifying. That's literally rape. That's what that is. There's no other way to describe that. That is what these doctors are doing to these women. It's horrifying. So it says there's no numbers to indicate how many pelvic exams have been performed nationwide without consent, but regional surveys suggest that the practice is not uncommon. A 2005 survey at the University of Oklahoma found that a majority of medical students had performed pelvic exams on unconscious patients, and in nearly 3 out of 4 instances, they thought informed consent had not been obtained. Majority, so more than 50% of medical students had performed these type of pelvic exams. 3/4 of them, they believed there was no consent done. So more than 50% of doctors have been involved, and 75% of those that were involved in these, at least 50%, 75% were done without consent, the doctor believed. That's horrifying. That's terrible. And that should be and is illegal without the white coat syndrome that they get to wear around as if they get to touch people's body without their consent. Horrifying. It speaks to me like it speaks to the actual medical industrial complex. The way that doctors view you. If you go into a doctor, and I've experienced this several times with my wife, with our pregnancies and having our children, and we had 2 of our children at home as home births. My wife did, and she's a boss. She had 2 of our children at home. But we went in a couple times just to make sure that things were okay. We had some concerns. There were some things going on. We went into the hospital to get some type of work done. There was like terrible migraines. And when we went in, it was like days and days and days that she had been experiencing this. We had given her tons of water. She had taken a bunch of Tylenol. We went in there and basically just told them, we want to get an MRI. We want to make sure that there's no real serious issues. And they offered us an IV of fluids and Tylenol. And we said she's very hydrated. We made sure that she drank water the entire time. She drank a ton of water and she's been taking Tylenol. So we said, we're really not interested in that because we know they're going to bill us, $850 for water and Tylenol, and we had already taken care of those things. We knew that wasn't the issue. But the second that we said no to those, the second that we showed that, she voiced her opinion, and when they came in and said, we're going to be doing IVs and Tylenol, IVs for fluids and Tylenol through the IV. And I looked at my wife and I said, is that what you want? They didn't ask her opinion on it. They didn't ask her if that was okay. They didn't ask her if she wanted to pay that money for the cost of water and Tylenol. They were just going to do it. They assumed the sale, right? When you learn sales, a big part of learning sales is learning how to speak to people in a way that they go along with what you say. And one way of doing that is assuming that they will go along with what you say. What I'm going to do now is just take your credit card information for this. Okay, great. You don't say, would you like me now to take your credit card information? No, you don't do that because that gives them the opportunity to leave the conversation or to say no. So what doctors are literally trained to do is to come in and go, this is what we're going to do. Got it? Not, is this what you want me to do? They just assume that you're an idiot, you have no experience, that you're dumb, you have no awareness of your body or what your body might need or what type of scans you might need. They just assume that you're dumb and they do what they want to do regardless of your opinion. And if you say no, you're automatically the enemy. And that's what we're seeing this, rear its ugly head with here, is they're assuming that body, they're like cattle to them. You're like cattle to them. And they assume that body is theirs to use in which way that they want, including touching you in places that they shouldn't be while you're unconscious without consent at all. And that's what they believe is their right. They think they have the right to do that. And they don't. Although, according to this article, it's legal in several states for them to do so. Many states, obviously, because more than half of doctors have said that they've done it, and 3/4 of the time that they've done it, they said they did not believe that there was consent, which is just horrifying and terrifying all at the same time. Because if you're a woman now and you go to get a surgery done, how are you going to feel about that? How's that going to make you feel to know that your doctor literally has unlimited rights to your body while you're sitting there unconscious, even if it has to do with your private area? It's so baffling to me that our medical industrial system believes that, and I guess they have to look at you that way. There's so many patients. Maybe they definitely don't have to look at you in a way that your body and, your vagina is their right to violate. But they look at you as if they're the expert. You're dumb. You're there because you're cattle. They have to go by a book that says, if there's this, then do this, right? And they want to check as many boxes as possible.